Go.
Phillis Wheatley is who I'm doing my Revolutionary War hero project on. Phillis Wheatley was born on May 8, 1753 in either Senegal or Gambia. She was sent to Senegal or Gambia, are countries in Western Africa. She was sent to America and bought by the Wheatley family, who resided in Boston. Her step-siblings taught her how to read and write. They soon saw her talent in that. She could read books like the Iliad or the Bible. She decided to write poetry. In a poem called To the King's Most Excellent Majesty, she praised King George III for repealing or taking away the Stamp Act. She also wrote To His Excellency George Washington, which was a poem praising George Washington. As thanks, Washington invited her over. She married a merchant who used to be a slave named John Peters. In the last few years of her life, which weren't very happy, John Peters went to prison because of debt, which is when he fails to pay his taxes. Soon after, her stepfather died, leaving her with a baby that wasn't feeling too good. He died on December 5th, 1784 of disease, and ironically, her baby died 3.5 hours later. And that's a picture of Phillis Wheatley. And my poem, which is kind of cool because Phillis Wheatley's a poet, it's an acrostic poet named after the ship Phillis, inspiring. You could read the Iliad, which is a book by Homer about the Trojan War, which is a war that supposedly happened in Greece. Also could read the Bible. Ironically, her baby died 3.5 hours after her. Slave, Washington invited her over, died December 5th, 1784, born on May 8th, 1753, died of disease, talent in reading and writing, lives in Boston, born in either Senegal or Gambia, a yay-worthy author. Now, this is Phillis Wheatley's backpack. Backpack belongs to Phillis Wheatley. And we're going to see some stuff in it. Oh, it's a book about poetry. Phillis Wheatley was a poet, and she liked to read and write. So I put a book in here about poetry. Paper. He liked to write, and you write on paper, so I put a paper in here. A pencil. She liked to write, and you write with a writing utensil, and this is a writing utensil. So I put a pencil in there. Pen. A highlighter. Of writing utensils because she was a poet and an author. A glue stick. And that's what she probably would have carried in the bag. This is a brochure about meeting Phillis Wheatley. Of course, he couldn't actually do that. Come visit Phillis Wheatley, poet extraordinaire. Read Phillis's works. Phillis Wheatley has written an assortment of poems. One is called To the King's Most Excellent Majesty, which praises King George for repealing the Stamp Act. And another poem Phillis wrote is called To His Excellency George Washington. As thanks, George Washington invited Phillis over to his house. Phillis's family. Phillis's mom is named Susanna. Her stepdad is named John, and he is a merchant and a tailor. Phillis has a stepsister named Mary and a stepbrother named Nathaniel. Her husband is named John Peters. They had 3 children, all of which died. The last one, ironically, died 3.5 hours after her. Phillis's later life. In the last few years of her life, Phillis's husband, John Peter, went to prison because of debt. Soon after, her stepfather died, which left her with child that wasn't feeling too good because he or she was sick. Phillis Wheatley died, and ironically, baby dead 3.5 hours later. I read that a lot. Visit Phillis, just email her at pwheatley@poets.org. Cost £5.99. I wrote pounds because that was the currency in colonial America, and I don't think the email actually works unless there's another Phillis Wheatley in this. About Phillis Wheatley. Phillis Wheatley was born on May 8th, 1753. She was either born in Senegal or Gambia, both being in West Africa. Phillis Wheatley was taken as slave. While she was 7 or 8 years old, she was taken to the Wheatley family, who resided in Boston. The Wheatley family treated Phillis as family and taught her how to read and write. They soon saw her talent with those studies. Phillis grew up to be a poet and author. George Washington admired her poetry. Phillis Wheatley died at the age of 31 on December 5th, 1753 of disease. Ironically, her newborn baby died 3.5 hours after. Certificate of Achievement. Phillis Wheatley has been awarded Most Acclaimed Poet of the Century by George Washington in 1775. Dear Mary, I have been writing lots of poetry. Without you teaching me how to read and write, I would not have been able to be such an acclaimed writer. I've written tons of works of poetry. Even General Washington complimented it. He loved it so much, he invited me over. Can you believe it? Your loving stepsister, Phillis Wheatley. And that is my poster about my Revolutionary War hero, Phillis Wheatley.